are here, and thank you so much. I'm getting ready to start. I'm a shy person though, but I'll see how I can overcome the shyness. So I'll start with a little piece of my journey with you. I was in class 3 one day when there was a lady wearing black came to look for me. She said she was my relative, so we went home. Apparently, my father had died. I had never met my father in my life before. So everyone was wondering, what will become of your life? And I just said, God will determine what will become of me. So I had many professions I wanted to become. So first of all, I said I wanted to become a medical doctor, but my math was terrible. Then I said I wanted to become a lawyer, and then someone told me when lawyers die, they're turned upside down because they cannot meet their creator. And I said, oh, if that's the reason, then I want to become a lawyer. So I was wondering what I'll become someday. So I went to Ewutubun Trust in the central region. My mom is a nurse and she was posted there. There was no electricity over there. So the radio became my friend and I was listening to BBC Focus on Africa. I heard Pepe Sichiado, how he'll take a simple story from Ghana and make it a global one. How he'll interview an ordinary human being and blow the person up. And I was like, okay, I think this is what I want to become someday. So I went to senior high school. I went to Kobo Girls Senior High School. And then neither was afraid of mathematics. I was given elective maths, I was given economics, I was given geography and literature. And I was wondering, how will I sail through? So I went to the headmistress and told her to change my course, and they were like, they can't do anything about it. So the first time I wrote my elective math paper, my highest score was 2%. And I was wondering how I could do so well in literature and other subjects, and then it gets to elective maths and I'm struggling. I'm even last but one in class. So I went back to the headmistress. I want to change my course. She said no. And we were inching closer to writing our WASI. But one day there was a competition in school and they needed the best students in science and maths as well as the best students in literature, English and current affairs. So we went for the competition. It started with elective maths, and when the quiz master would ask the question, I'll be drawing flowers and pretending I'm actually answering a maths question. It got to science too. I was also drawing flowers and my friends were laughing at me. So after the first 3 rounds, our school was last but one. There was left in the last round, which was English, literature, current affairs. And when it got there, the other contestants, no one could answer those questions, and I answered with a bonus. Then by the time I realized the school that was last but one became first, just because I answered the literature and then extra questions on current affairs. I learned a lesson that day that if I could focus on my strengths and work on my weaknesses, perhaps I could make it in life. So it was time for me to write my WASI. I'd done everything. It's not a case of me not understanding mathematics. I think mathematics did not understand me. So the WASI time came and then I saw the questions. Before that, I sat my mom down and I told her that, Ma, I'm going to write this paper, but I'm prophesying to you that I'm going to come out with an F in elective maths. But don't worry, I will try so hard to make it to work with my core maths so that at least I get a pass mark to the university. And she was like, what kind of prophecy is this? So WASI also came. I rewrote the questions back to the examiner and I drew my flowers again. So lo and behold, the results came and my prophecy came to pass. I had my F in elective maths. And then I remember school authorities asking me, what will happen, what will become of you? I said they shouldn't worry. Luckily, I did so well with my core math. At least I had my pass mark to the in core math, and then I could go to university. So while waiting for my results then, I was teaching some children in my neighborhood. So while teaching them, I'll just take a newspaper and I'll pretend as if I am a newscaster on TV3. I wasn't yet at TV3, but I'll just take and then pretend I was a newscaster, and then the kids will all be laughing. Then it was something we were doing every day. Little did I know that that was actually preparing me for my role or my career in the media. I did national service at Information Services Department at the Ministry of Information. Anytime we'll go on a break, I'll just take a newspaper and then I'll pretend as if I'm a news anchor at TV3. Then one day, a colleague of mine would just take his phone and then record me, and then we'll all be laughing. While we were doing that routine one day, we saw an advert on TV. TVV was looking for a news anchor and journalist, and then in that room, all eyes turned to me and they were like, "This is you. I think TVV is looking for you." I was a very shy person, and I had big ears, I just don't think. And that day, I was in ponytails, and then my ears were sticking out, and I had to go and take a passport picture. So I took that passport picture with my both ears glaring out. But interestingly, when the news editor saw that picture, it is what attracted him to me, my ears. Because in his family, many people in his family had the same ears as mine. So he actually called to see me first to do the first interview. So something that I was actually running away from is actually what led to my breakthrough. And I remember I was wondering what would become of my life. I went to ICGC and then I heard Dr. Otabo preach, and the title was The Making of a King, how God picked David up from the shepherd boy and put him into the king's palace. So I prayed a prayer that day. I was like, God, if you could do this with David, can you do the same thing with me? And I think God heard me. So I got employment at TV3 Network. And then it was just a promotion from being in the wilderness into the king's palace. Little did I know that that was where the real test would come. So for example, you need to learn how to speak English well. Sometimes the English you are speaking, you're actually not speaking it well. So for example, the word says, it is actually says. Soften, the T is silent, it is soften. It's not jeopardy, it's jeopardy. It's not climb, it's climb. And then it's not bomber, it's bomber. I did not know about all these things. So with my natural training, I didn't go to any broadcasting school to learn how to read. So I'll go on air and I'll say this, and then Uncle Tommy would call me. I'm like, you butchered this word. And I had to relearn English again. At that time, it meant that your employers would take you off air for you to learn. And I was being given the little news bulletins to read. So I was like, okay, it's a setback for me, but I'll get myself a dictionary. Uncle Tommy would call me and then help me occasionally. And I'll relearn how to speak English once again. And then there was one time I walked to the office and then the security man saw me and he started laughing. And I asked what is it. He said I should pick graphic showbiz. I opened it and there was a lecturer at the University of Ghana who had written the list of news anchors whose pronunciation were bad, and my name was part of it. I was like, oh my God, this is the end. I'm not going to read the news again. So it was time for me to read, and I actually drafted my resignation letter in my head and what I was going to do. It was time for me to read the news, and then all of a sudden, I started crying. We were on a commercial break. I started with sports news, and then I was crying, not like I was crying, ma. And then when they usually count down from 10, 9, 8. So it got to 3, 2, 1, and then the director will say, kill sound, take reader, cue. So immediately you hear the word cue, they'll press a button, and then that's where you see us in your homes on the television screen. So after the time they were at 3, 2, 1, I was still crying, ma. And then it got to 3, 2, 1, kill sound, take reader. So just when the switcher pressed the button, guess what happened? There was light off in the whole of Ghana that day. Immediately I knew there was a power greater than me that caused this to happen. And I was like, okay, if God sent an angel to cause a problem in the whole of Ghana just for me to be saved, I was like, if this is what actually happened, then I have no excuse than to excel in my profession. So when people were reading, my colleagues were reading the major news bulletins, I was sat behind and go through the scripts. One day I was going through a script. I saw that a member of parliament had donated drinks to a community. She donated the drinks because some 2 school children drowned while they were on their way to seek quality education. Immediately I knew there was a problem. They did not need drinks. They either needed life jackets or they needed a school in their community. it wasn't my story, it was someone else's story. So I sought permission from my senior colleague and I was like, I'm going back to that community to do the story that he did, because the focus of that story was about the MP giving drinks to the community. So I went back to the community to redo the story, joined them on the canoe, and there was even a big hole in that canoe, and that explained why many people died while seeking an education. I did that, and then they had life jackets for the whole community, and that was actually what gave me my first 2 awards at the Ghana Journalist Awards. It wasn't my story, it was someone else's story that I retold. And I always say that each and every one of us has a voice. Some people have a very loud voice, others, their voices are down. So journalism or the media comes in to amplify the voices of those whose voices cannot go far. And that is why we come. I'll just play a video shortly for you to see one of the impactful stories that I've done. I was at a village called Awawasupeti in Asesewa, Upper Manya district of the Eastern region. And in that community, there was a family, they had a rare disease and they've never been to school before. Yeah, let's watch it so that I don't care. Move.
On 19th March 2023, I was at Awawasupeti in the Upper Manya district of the Eastern region to report on the terrifying